just on the provisions for Itoke, Ultuman and Banban Lands Act, the protection is more than ever before in any constitution or in any law in Fiji. Of course, there was some concern, some misinformation when the draft version came out. Why the government has gone all out this time to ensure everything is welcome?
We had gone out, all the way out. We believed that it was there. We had also amended the laws in the respective specific pieces of legislation that had existed and various new decrees that had been put in. But it obviously, we sense that people in Fiji, there's a sense of wanting to see everything in the cold face. So that is why we put it specifically in. We also had the plans to also change the sharing of the royalties for minerals, but we've also put that in the constitution. I think, unfortunately, what's happened in Fiji, the culture of application of laws has taken a very political taint to it. So where many countries you have certain rights that are determined or already enshrined in convention or determined by the courts, people accept that. They don't necessarily have to spell everything out, but they know it's there. Whereas in Fiji, I think because of politicization of issues, people feel a lot more perhaps comfortable by seeing it written there. And I think that sense of distrust is a legacy of our politicians.
Those same critics, they will not be attending, they said they will not be attending your session. What does they say? What's your comment about that?
Well, let's see if they attend or not. Hopefully they'll have a change of heart. I mean, the plan is that, this is, from our perspective, it's not a political document per se. They are obviously viewing it as a political document. We are not viewing it as a political document. We are viewing it as a document that sets out the fundamental legal framework for a just and a stable Fijian society that addresses many of the issues that we need to be able to tackle and that have not, in fact, been addressed previously. And I have not obviously gone into areas of socio-economic rights. The first time it's being introduced. And in fact, many of the submissions, as you would have known, that when we went around Fiji and even the other commissions previously, people talk about day-to-day issues or everyday issues. And that has been addressed. And that, in fact, means that every single political party, if they get elected to government, whenever it is, they will have to address those issues. So we have in fact put in place a particular focus to ensure that nobody has necessarily the latitude to do as they like when it comes to issues of national importance or national concerns. Water, electricity, roads, education, access to transportation, legal aid, independent judiciary, independent corruption commissions. That's why I've got standing access for them to have access to consolidated funds. So we strengthen that. And if you can see, if you want to do a quick analysis, the entire constitution also has an enormous focus on building strong institutions. Independence, if you see, guaranteed. Once people are appointed, you need to remove. If you want to remove them, you have to go through tribunal process. The reports need to be made public, etc., which was never done before. And similarly, the fact that they have access to the right amount of funding, Parliament must make sure they have the right amount of funding. That's also been included. For the first time, you have an accountability provision in respect of public office holders. Code of conduct, they have been investigated right from the President, Prime Minister, Ministers, senior civil servants. So it's creating a more accountable state apparatus. Not necessarily dependent on who's in government, but dependent on the Constitution.
When will this Constitution come into effect?
The President assents to it on the 6th of September.
How are we on track for elections a year away? Elections out now, we now have a constitution. Will Fiji be ready by September 2014?
You will know that there's a provision in the constitution that says the elections must be held no later than 30th of September. So we have to be ready. Otherwise you'll have a constitutional crisis. We have to be ready. And it can be done. Of course. We are also, as you know, that later today when we meet the diplomatic corps, many of them are also development partners who want to contribute to elections office. We already have 2 reports. We were expecting 1 report, but we've got 2 separate reports, one from the Commonwealth, one from the EU and New Zealand. They've gone about and do their own thing in Commonwealth, but seems to be very similar. They're ready and willing to help. And the fact that we can have the elections conducted one day, that's our plan, and we are sticking to that plan. It can be done. We've already registered probably close to now 540,000 voters. People have been registering hibiscus elsewhere. There will be some announcements made in respect of permanent offices being opened in the Western Division very soon. And we also hope to go out to register voters living offshore. So that's all on track. Yes, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of rules and regulations that need to be prepared to make sure that everything is transparent. That's why it's important to get the electoral commissioners also appointed once the constitution is assented to. But we believe there's a lot of young, bright people who can resource the elections office. Some of them not necessarily permanently, but will require a lot of casual people. At this stage, we are planning to have close to 3,000 polling stations to ensure that we get voting done in one day. But anyway, that's a topic for another discussion.
Sorry, just on the electoral system, because there's changes that the people of Fiji would want to know. You've said that further decisions will be made and the new laws will be coming out in relation to electoral laws. When will that happen, and to specify the electoral provisions?
It's not further decision. The electoral rule has been set out. It's going to be one single constituency. There will be 50 members of parliament. There's proportional representation, minimum threshold of 5%. But further rules in respect of, for example, how do we set about the candidates, the list. It's an open list system. How will, for example, the counting be conducted? Those very specific rules pertaining to them. But the overall crux of the electoral system is already enshrined in the Constitution. Proportional representation, one single constituency, 5% threshold, an open list system.
So our party has 50 candidates. What happens then? How many votes does a person get? One vote?
No, you tick one name. You simply tick one name. So you'll see in the provision there that it's cumulative. So assuming, you have, 4 political parties, and political party A has 50 candidates. Out of the 50 candidates, one person may be very popular and get 40% of all the votes in Fiji. Another person in his party or her party may get 20%. So when you look at allocating the seats for the political party, you add all their votes, so it's 60%. So they get 60% of the seats in parliament. So 60% of all the seats in parliament is 30 seats. So 30 people from that party go in, of course including those two because they've got votes. The others may not get any votes, but 30 of them are entitled to go.
The decision will be made by the leader of that party who goes in apart from the people.
Yeah, exactly. But anybody who does get a vote has to go in. Even if they get one vote, they'll have to be part of the 30. Thank you very much. Naga.